Daniel Cohn, the editorial director of Spin. I'm with not just one Micah, but two Micahs, or two Micahs from Irreverent. How are you guys doing today?
Great, how are you?
Hanging in there. And we were just talking off, speaking of hanging in there, off camera about mental health and how this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And Micah, you have a degree in psychology, so you're uniquely placed to speak to this topic.
Yeah, a degree that has been used very little over the last 20 or so years, but yeah, I do have an understanding of mental health from a more of a scientific side, I would say, just having gone to school for it. But yeah, I think we're coming out of a pandemic, and I think that's something that has affected everybody across the entire world, let alone somebody in your own community or your family, or just in your own city, where usually localized things we're able to kind of like process them or like ignore certain things like that in the way that we kind of go about our lives in society. But when it comes to a global issue, and when something like death and fear and all these other things really impact the entire planet, then everybody is forced to kind of deal with it. And then now we're kind of in the time of seeing the repercussions of what happened in the last few years, and a lot of that is mental health, I think, is suffered greatly. And so I think it's we have to come to grips with mental health being on the same level as physical health. I think people everybody really focuses on their physical health. They want to be healthy, obviously, go to the gym, but it's like we need to spend the exact same amount of energy and thought and money going into the health of your brain and your psyche and your overall personality and life and brain.
What are some of the things you've noticed since you've been back on the road, like with your own mental health, and how it takes to get up and then to come down after being off a show? Has it changed at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just one of those things that creeps up on you, especially after a long tour. You start to realize like your attitude's a little bit different, you're shorter with people, you're ready to be home, and I think it's just something that if you're not cognizant of, it can really kind of spread like wildfire, and if you don't have a way of understanding how to level yourself out and also check in on others. That like one big thing that's I've kind of learned over the last few years is like really don't give up on those people that you love that like are struggling, because it's not that easy to just get out of something like that. It's like it's very all-encompassing in people's lives sometimes. So it's like sometimes just being that one person that checks in on them could make all the difference, And so we see that even like with tour mates. Sometimes you see someone who's like normally chipper or always kind of happy, on stage, and then a couple days go by and they're kind of just, they're not really themselves. It's always good to just kind of check in with people and make sure they're okay.
How do you find that when you realize that it's like, do you instantly have to spring into action, or do you like try and give it some space and give it a few hours to see if anything's getting better before you feel like you have to be helpful?
I think in general you probably give them a little bit of space at the beginning, and just to see if they can, what they're going through. If it's you can't assume what they're going through is something that you can necessarily speak to, or they want you to reach out or say something. But it's like if you see that it continues for more than a couple days, or a period that feels like normally longer than what you'd know, because when we're on the road, we're with people that we've known for a long time. We know intimately. We live in a tour bus together for months at a time, so you really know how everybody, their beats and the way that they are, and the way that their little quirks and the routines. And so when you see it go off track, it's very noticeable. It's just like when you're at home with a loved one or a partner or whatever, you kind of can notice it. And it's the same thing with your bandmates, because we spend so much time in such a small space together. So yeah, I think it's, you let them see if they can work it out on their own, and if not, then it's like maybe have a word with them, or just say like, hey, like everything good. And I think that's, just reaching out is a huge step. You don't have to solve all the issues in the world. It's just, sometimes it's just saying something or letting them know that you're noticing and that you're there. That's a big thing, a big step.
Yeah, it seems like that's an underrated or an under-mentioned topic that happens with touring. It is long. It is mentally grueling being away for that long. And what advice would you give to like another band that's having trouble with that, whether it's a crew member or bandmate, like how to help and like maintain that?
I feel like just trying to develop those healthy routines or things that keep you grounded on a daily basis, no matter what city you're in or what day it is of the week. Like, you have something that you can kind of go back to every day that kind of keeps you in your little frame of mind that you need to be in. You know, sometimes just having a healthy routine, whether it's working out or going for a walk or, you know, those kind of things that can keep your mind from drifting to other places that you don't want to drift to. Because there's, like, obviously on the road, you know, everybody hears about the rock star life, right? There's always the temptations and the vices that are all around you. It's like, for a lot of people, it's much easier to, like, ignore that, but for some people that's a very, you know, triggering thing or a hard thing to, like, ignore on a daily basis, especially if it's not healthy for you. So trying to, yeah, just stay away from those and develop those healthier kind of routines and habits.
So what are some of the things you guys do on off days to kind of, like, stay grounded?
I think we're definitely, you know, the band is for the most part from Southern California, Hawaii, so we like to be outdoors. I think that's the number one thing, is like getting out of the bus and like the routine of being in the bus and being in the green room and being at the venue all day long. And he and I like to play golf.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect.
Good for the soul.
The other guys like to, they go, if we're near the coast, they're surfers, so they'll go for a surf or they'll go for a bike ride or a hike or whatever it is.
Yeah, yoga,
jog,
workouts, those kind of things. Like, just trying to stay active and be outside, sunshine.
I think it's connecting with nature is a big part of that, I think, is like, because you get so, you know, when you're so ingrained in touring, you're indoors, you're in the bus, you're traveling, you're moving so fast, it's like, as soon as you can get outside in nature, it feels like a reset.
Who's the better golfer?
He's been playing longer, you know.
Yeah, well,
he's a good golfer.
Are there skins when you guys play? Is it like you get competitive?
Well, we're a team.
We generally team,
you're on
yeah.
team.
Normally we ham and egg.
people.
We ham and egg, and we can hustle some people. We get a lot of invites to clubs, and like we won't always win, but we'll let them win sometimes.
We'll let them win. Yeah.
Kindly.
Yes.
We want to be invited back, you know.
Of course. Of course. So what advice would you give to a newer band who's stressing about touring and like their streams, about how to like keep their mental health like under control and keep perspective when it's so easy, it seems like, with social media and just numbers to like lose track of that?
I think, like you said, I think the biggest thing with routine is routine. It's finding something that you can lean on. Is it a person? Is it like an activity? Is it something that you can lean on, that you can go to? Is it like, and it could be anything, even like speaking to a therapist, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many places where you can speak to a therapist online, through your phone, like through so many different avenues. And I think that's like, if you really do struggle, like there's so many places where you can do it.
Or the creative process itself, you know, especially as a young artist, it's like, it's all about your creativity when you're starting out, I feel like, because you're trying to set yourself apart from every other band that's coming up. And so what is it about you that you bring to the table that people are interested in, and like, how do you lean into your creative process and make that art stand for itself and be, you know,
sublimate it,
focus,
you know,
so
sublimate it, put it into your art, and then like, if you can do that, that's, you know, you're doing double duty. You're helping yourself with your own mental health, and you're also creating, you know, music or whatever it is that you do.
That can help others. Yeah, I think a lot of times as an artist, the most fulfilling thing is like making a song or a piece of art that like helps someone else through something else, you know. And so like, as a young artist, I remember the biggest impactful things that happened to me were when someone would come up to me and say, hey, this song helped me through this tough time. And, you know, I feel like that's where you really feel like you have value as a younger up and coming artist. Like, my music's already making an impact on this person's life, you know, so.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Micah, for dropping by. Is there anything else you want to say to the camera?
Thanks for bringing social awareness out there. Yeah. You know, we're letting us musicians who are not, you know, we don't really, you know, we just make music. We're not special. We're normal people. But thanks for giving us a place to talk about stuff we care about.